Now we made quite some progress. I again want to highlight something which I did highlight before, but which is super important. If you inspect your page source in the browser, again, you will only see the final result here. You don't see all those tags, the for tag, the URL tag, or the filters. You don't see anything of that here because all that DTL, that Django template language, is parsed and evaluated on the server. The client only receives the finished HTML document, the finished HTML code. This is really important, and therefore I wanted to emphasize it again. With that though, I now want to dive into another important tag which we often need. And that's the if tag to output content conditionally. Let's say we actually don't have challenges for all months. Let's say for December we have no challenge. So in the views.py file, I'll set the value here to none. There is no challenge for December. The key exists, but the challenge is not set. Now, in such a case, when we load December, we might not want to show none here. Instead, we might want to show some text like, there is no challenge for December yet, or you haven't set a December challenge yet. We might want to show some fallback text like this. And that, of course, is only true for months where we have no challenge. So we can't go to challenge HTML and add this challenge fallback text as a hard-coded text like this. We can't say there is no challenge for this month yet. Because whilst this would show up in December, it also would show up for all other months. And in addition, even for December, it's not optimal because we're still also showing none. So instead, we want to run some conditional logic in the template. And we either want to output this h2 tag or this paragraph here. And that's, of course, also something you can do with Django and with tags. In the official tag reference, you will see the if tag. And that if tag allows you to write if statements in your templates. It also allows you to write elif and else statements. And just like the for tag, you also need to end that if statement somewhere then, to tell Django where your if statement stops, because again, you don't use indentation for that in the templates, you use end if and end for instead. Now, as you see, the if syntax here works basically like it works in regular Python code. You can use and, or, and not. You can use the equality comparison operator and inequality, smaller than, greater than, smaller than or equal, greater than or equal, the in operator, not in operator, is. So basically what you know from regular Python, you can use that in your conditions in here as well. And therefore, let's now add that. For this, again, we have single curly braces with the percentage sign, and then it's the if tag, which I want to use here. And I want to check if we have a challenge for this month. Now, keep in mind that we can determine whether we have a challenge or not by having a look at our text key, because that holds the challenge text. And that challenge text is either really a text or it's none, because it is none for December, for example. So therefore, here we can check if text is not none, for example, and then we want to render this, else we want to render this paragraph. So next we can add percentage else, and then at the end we add percentage end if. And we can indent this for readability, but technically you don't need to indent it. You could also add an elif case if you needed that, but here we don't. Here, this should be enough. And this should make sure that we only render this text if it's not none, but if it is none, we render the fallback text. So if we now save this challenge template and we reload December, we only see the fallback text here. If, on the other hand, I go to a different month, I see the challenge text for this month. And that's exactly what we wanted here. So that's how we can use the if tag to render content conditionally. And that's another core tag you need to know when working with Django templates.